Alright, so your tools needed for assembly are going to be a 17mm socket, a 14mm socket, a 12mm socket, and a 10mm socket, as well as a 14mm open box wrench. If you have the ratcheting end, it definitely helps. 10mm ratcheting open box, and a 12mm ratcheting open box. Again, you don't need ratcheting, it's just a plus if you have it. A 5mm Allen bolt, and a Phillips head screwdriver or Phillips head impact tip or drill tip, whatever you have. Doesn't have to be power tools. Power tools definitely help, but you can assemble it all with manual tools as well. So when you get your ATV, this is exactly how it will come. It will come in a cardboard box, and underneath the box is going to be a metal crate. When you get it, you want to inspect it for any damages, any shipping damages, anything along those lines, before unboxing as well as unboxing. So to take the box off, you're simply going to kind of lift it and take the tape off. It will be easier if you have a box cutter. And be careful when you're doing this. There is some sharp sheet metal. I'll show you when I take the box off. Underneath, it will cut your fingers. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, this right here is very sharp. It will cut your fingers. So your next step will be, you have 6 Phillips head screws on each side holding down this cage to the bottom of the frame. All you're going to do is you're going to take your screwdriver impact and zip those right off. Alright, after you removed those 6 bolts, your cage should come right off. Easy as that. Your next step is going to be taking out the spring grab. You're going to have stuff sitting up here, so just be aware when you take it apart. There will be boxes. You have this box right here. That will be your battery charger. Going to have your lever assemblies up here. Handlebars. A tire. Front rack. Another tire. And then you will have your front push bar and everything. It's going to be zip tied up here just so it doesn't fall and damage anything during shipping. But once you take those off, your assembly is very simple. You're going to take off some hooks off the side of the frame after you get off everything. I'll show you more about that. All you would do is compress down the ATV. That way you would loosen up these hooks, front and rear, to take the ATV off of the metal cage. So we'll get more into that here in a second. Alright guys, so this is everything you're going to get. This is going to be in the box on top of it. It's going to look like a little tank all stretch wrapped. These are going to be your front tires. Your rear tires are going to come right here tucked in on the wheel wells. You're going to have your front bumper push bar, your front cage to match the rear. You're going to have little front bumper plastic pads for it, mirrors, and then assorted nuts and bolts that you're going to need to put the wheels on and the shocks on. You're also going to get your battery charger, your front shocks, and then your fuse in the side panel. You're gonna have to take the key out of the ignition and open up the side panel, and it's going to be in either one of these. It's never really set. This one I already took it out, but just so you could see, it's never in the left or right. It's always in one of them. It's never a perfect one that they put them in. So now that we have that all set, I'm going to cut these. They're actually like little hooks that they put around so it stays on the cage. The easiest way, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm not a very huge guy and I can't put a lot of force on this thing to take them off. So the easiest way is to get some bolt cutters and cut them right off. So I'm going to do that right now here. You always want to wear some safety glasses when you do it. You're just going to take your bolt cutters and chop them right off. Alright, be careful when you do that, because the ATV will jump up. That is the easiest way to take them off. Once you have that off, it's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to take my floor jack and I'm going to jack up the front end here, and I'm going to put the front shocks on and get the wheels ready to mount. That way we could take it off of this crate and make it a little easier to work on. Alright guys, so you're also going to have down here, this little bar runs through the frame of the ATV. I believe these are two 10 millimeters. I'll let you know here in a second. It's 10 or 8. Small little guys. And you're actually going to unbolt it and pull this bar out, because you can't lift up this front end with this bar in there because it runs through the frame where your A-arms are. So I'm going to take that off next, and then we're going to lift up this front end. Alright guys, so it's a 10 millimeter. You're going to have a nut on each side. The bolt is underneath. I'm going to use my impact here and zip it right off. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side here. So I'll take you over there with me so you can see. This right here, I don't know, make sure you guys can see that. I'm just going to take the impact, zip it right off, and this whole bar will come right out and let you lift up the front end. Alright guys, after you take out that cross member holding the front end down, the easiest way to do it is with a forklift. I understand some people don't have that. So I just went ahead and did it. That way I can make sure you guys can do it. All I did was picked up the front end from over here. Make sure you have some help. Some people can do it by themselves, some people can't, so don't try to be a hero and hurt yourself. If you need a buddy, ask for a buddy. But all I did was I lifted it up over on the side some, that way I can get a floor jack underneath the A-arms and jack up the front end. That way I can put the suspension on and throw the front wheels on and roll it right off of this crate. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to jack the four-wheeler up. The whole reason for this is to put the suspension on. You're going to grab your shock that came in with your ATV. And it does come with a little spacer here. Make sure you can see that. That's actually going to set in the bottom. And the reason for that is that there's no clunking around when you stick it in there. So make sure that is on there. I know it's going to be a little more difficult than having it off, but it's there for a reason. So make sure you use it. So all you're going to do is you're going to come in here and place your shock where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to bring you up close and show you here. I don't have any bolts in there yet, but this is just for video purposes so you guys can see. You have a mount down here that the bottom of the shock is going to go to, and you have a mount up here that the top of your shock is going to go into. So all you're going to do when you get that in there is you're going to throw the bolts in there and torque it down. Make sure it's tight on there and it doesn't come off. So I'm going to repeat the same thing to the other side, get them bolted on, and then we'll move on to the wheel assembly. Alright guys, I set those bolts in there. I didn't tighten them fully, but this is just so I can show you on the video purposes here. You're going to have two different sizes. You're going to have a short one and a long one. Same size nut on each one, same thread, just a little shorter and one's a little longer. So for the direction for that to go, your long one is going to go down at the bottom because of that spacer and the spacing here, and your short one will come up top here because of the spacing and everything. If you do it crisscross, that one up there will not be long enough for the bottom, and then you'll be wondering what you did wrong. So just remember, long one at the bottom, short one at the top. And then I'm just going to set this here. I'm going to tighten them down here and show you exactly how it's done. Alright, this is very simple. You're just going to need a socket and a wrench. So this is going to be a 14mm nut and bolt. So all you're going to do is get your 14mm socket here, and your 14mm open box, and you're just going to give them a tighten here with the impact. Top and bottom is the same size. And just like that, your shock is on. Alright, some of you guys should take note at the bottom of your shock, how you have the spacer, you're going to have these two little black rubber washers. Those are actually going to go on each side so your shock doesn't rock back and forth in the designated spot that it's supposed to be. Once you get those in, you're just going to slide your bolt right in and tighten her on up. Again, these are 14s, nut and bolt. And then that'll prevent any rattling from the shock. And then you're just going to repeat the same process on the other side of the ATV. So I'll take you over there and I'll show you that side as well. Repeat process. You're going to take your shock, spacer in the bottom. Then you're going to have two little black washers. They're going to go on each side. And you're just going to slide this right into place. Take your long bolt. And just be patient, guys. This is kind of an awkward spot that it's in. Stick the nut on. Don't tighten it all the way yet until you get the top in, just to make it a little easier on yourself. Just remember, short one's going to go at the top. It's going to slide right in. You don't want to put a whole lot of force on it. If you got to force it, it's not in the right spot. You got to move the A-arm up and down. Easiest way is just to jack it up. That way these can move freely and you can put this wherever it needs to go. After you get it in place, it's going to take your 14mm socket, open box, just tighten those right up. Now that those are on, I'm going to inflate the front tires, and I'm going to show you how to place those on, and then we'll start working on the rear. Alright, now I put the wheel on. Your lug nuts are going to come in the box. They're going to be a 17mm lug nut. All you're going to do, you're going to come over, you're going to line your wheel up. You are going to have to jack it up some and adjust it. I do put wood underneath it to help some too. But once you have your adjusted height, you're just going to line up your wheel lug bolts. Then you're going to take your nuts here. Make sure you thread them on first before you go ahead and tighten them. That way the wheel can seat evenly on the hub. If not, you could cross thread your studs, mess up your hub. Just make sure you tighten them all evenly. And then when you do torque them on, make sure you do it like a car. You're going to do it in a star pattern. Do not go around. It seats the wheel better when you do it in a star pattern. Now, the front wheel's on. You're going to move on to the other side. Now with your passenger wheel, you slide it on. You're just going to do the same thing. Again, just floor jack right between the A-arms, lift the front end right up, and your wheels will slide right on. Again, I can't stress this enough, hand tighten them until they're tight to just avoid stripping any lugs. Again, that's a 17mm socket. Will fit right over that lug nut. And again, they are the conical seat, so I'm going to show you this too, just because some people might have a question, and I don't want anyone to mess it up. Find my lug nuts here. So I'm going to show you this. This is called a conical seat lug nut. This tapered part is going to go into the wheel, and that's just going to help it lock it and stay in there. If you put it this flat way, it's not going to make a contact in the wheel, and your wheel can come loose and fall off. So just remember, it's just like a car. The cone is going to go inside of the rim. That's just a little pointer, don't forget that. That's how they go on properly. So in your box, you're going to receive 4 of these rubber caps. These actually just go right over the castle nut on your wheel, and it just dresses it up. That way you can't see it with our rubber, so you just work it in its place. Should fit right in there. And then once you get it kind of in there, you just give it a turn. It'll lock on inside, just like that. And all it is just dresses it up. Hides your castle nut, keeps any dirt from getting inside there, causing any rust or any corrosion, anything like that. Alright, so the next step after you have the wheels on, the caps on, you're going to take your front rack. You're going to find these 2 little bolts right here in your bags of bolts and nuts. And this actually, you're going to take the nuts off of it, you're going to set them to the side, and then these 2 threaded parts go in these 2 top holes up here. And then I'll show you here on the camera. They go right up through these holes, and then down by the shock. See if you can see that. Right up here is your nut, your threading. This is where you're going to put your nut and secure this top rack down. So I'm going to get to those next here. So right here, you're just going to throw that on. I'm not going to tighten it all the way yet, because I'm going to throw the front bumper crash bar on that does attach to this. So just leaving it loose makes it a little easier to be able to move around and everything. I would throw those nuts on it though, just to secure it in place so it doesn't come out of its spot. Now, along with your nuts, you're going to have these bolts. The nuts and bolts are both going to be a 14mm. So what you're going to do is this bar right here is going to mount to the top of this crash bar, as well as down below there's 2 little holes. So the easiest way that I do it is I just thread in these top ones. I leave them loosely, again, just for the adjustment and play of where it's going to sit. If you torque them down tight, you're going to have a very hard time lining everything up perfectly. This way it just makes it a little bit easier. Alright, so now that you have it all loosely on there, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten everything down. I'm going to start with these bottom ones. They are 12mm. I'm just going to stick your impact right on there, tighten it up. Same thing with this side. Okay. And then you're going to come up here sit those right down. And then you're just going to tighten the ones underneath. That's going to be a 14. Then I recommend using an open box wrench. And then you're just going to do the same thing to the other side. And then that is going to be on. Now, there are a couple more bolts that do go onto it. Alright, so when assembling the front bumper crash bar, you do have to put these little metal, they're big bolts basically, and what they do is they thread into the bumper for this to sit on, and then you would attach it with another little nut. So basically how it's going to go is this is going to sit over here. You're going to have two little tiny bolts. They're going to thread right into it and just keep it into place, and that's just so it doesn't rub on the bumper, and keep its spot so it doesn't move and protects you in the case of a crash. And you're just going to tighten everything right up. I'm going to start with the bottom. Bottom is a 12 millimeter. And you're going to throw your top ones back in. Give them a little thread in first. Make sure they go on the right spot. And those are 12s as well. And then these two little ones at the bottom are a 10 millimeter. So realistically, the essential tools you are going to need is a 12, 10, 14, and a 17 millimeter, along with those matching open box wrenches as well. Just going to throw it right up. And then this is where your black little plastics are going to come into play that I showed you earlier. This is them right here, just for reference so you know what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here. These are just going to place right on the bumper, and there are some little bolts that go right through it. And secure it on, and this is just to prevent the metal from scratching. You scratch the plastic, which is replaceable and cheaper to replace rather than the metal. They're just going to place on there like that, line them up, and then I'm going to go grab the bolts here for them. Alright, so the 4 screws that secure it are these 4 silver Phillips head that it does come with. So all you're going to do is, again, like everything else, just gently thread it in. Make sure it's in place before you do torque it on, just because you don't want to cross thread anything again. And you can use a screwdriver for this, guys. I'm just using my power tools, just make it a little bit quicker and easier. And then just like that, your front bumper and plastics is on and tight. The next step here is we're going to assemble the handlebars. Very, very simple, easy step. That's why I save it for one of the last steps. to have your left and right handle here, and these are just going to clamp right onto the bars with an Allen bolt. So you just set these aside. You have your left and right. I would just set those aside, pull up your bars. There are going to be some Allen bolts, so I'm going to go grab the appropriate ones. So this is going to be a 5mm Allen. Again, you could do this with a regular Allen wrench. I'm just using the power tools to make it faster for the video purpose. Just going to take those right out. And as you can see, when you take those out, this separates into two. Now, it's just basically a clamp that's going to sit on the bar. So you're going to bring your handlebar over, and all you're going to do, make sure you don't pinch any of these wires. You're just going to set it on there like so. And then you're going to take your Allens, stick them right through there, and just thread it in place. Again, you don't want to tighten it right now because you do want the adjustability of when you do set your handlebars on. I'm just throwing them on there. Again, you're just going to put these right where they need to go. Don't tighten it all the way, just lightly so it doesn't fall out of there. And that way, when you put your bar on, again, you have adjustment on where the things go. And you're going to repeat the same with this other side. Same size, 5mm Allen. And again, just loosely on there, like that, for adjustability when you do get your handlebars all mounted. Our next step is going to be installing the horn. The way this horn is going to sit is you're going to have to plug this in, and the plug-in for this is going to be tucked in. Zip ties out of the way. Down here, this little red connector. You're going to find this red connector, and all you're going to do is click it right into place. Just like that. Once you hear the click, you can tuck it down, and then again this is going to sit up here like this. Do not lose this bolt. This bolt is what's going to hold your key and your dash onto this. So please do not lose that. That is a very, very important thing you're going to need. I'm going to set that to the side like that. Okay, so the way this is going to sit on here is your handlebar is going to go here. You're going to have these are going to be your bottom ones with this little nipple thing sticking right out of it. And the reason that because the top one has a hole where it's going to sit in place and it's going to line up perfectly for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to set these underneath. Just like this. And then you're going to take your bolts, they're going to be these long ones, and they're going to slide down right into place. Oh, I'm sorry, you got to stick your top one on. And then slide it right down into place. And I'm just putting these in for now, just to hold it up for the next step here that I'm going to show you. Push that down, top one. And then just stick it down on there for now. So the next thing is this right here is actually going to sit right on top. So these bolts are going to go through here, and the reason for that is because this screw right here is going to hold on your dash. So I just put these on just to kind of hold it in place. That way you can get this ready. And the way I do it, that's the easiest, is get your hardware ready. Just set it up here. And I'm just going to do one side at a time. Again, don't rush. Be very patient. It will go where it's supposed to go, I promise. And then you're just going to get your top ones lined up as well. All you're going to do is just tighten them down. Don't force it. Be very gentle. These are your handlebars. This is what steers the ATV. And these again are going to be 12 millimeter. And for the sake of over torquing them, I'm just going to use an open box just to tighten them up. And this again is good to do in the star pattern like I was doing the wheels. This helps everything seat and line up a little better. Want to make sure your handlebars, it does have little adjustments here. I'm going to show you here. I'm just going to loosen this up a hair just so I can slide it. But if you could see here, I'm going to pop it out on this side. It's got teeth on the bars. Those are meant to be tucked in because that's what your clamp is going to grab onto, and that's going to even give you the centering point for it too. So make sure those are tucked up in there before you tighten it too much and you can't move them. And then from here you can go ahead and set your adjustment on your brake levers. Again, that's a 5 millimeter Allen bolt. Make sure your little gap is closed. That way this doesn't move around on your handlebar. Then I'm going to come up around here and do this side. Just like that, your levers are set. So the very, very last step, you're going to take this Phillips head bolt out. It does have this plastic washer. This is so your key doesn't wobble while it's on there. So you can see there's a hole here. This is just going to place where it's supposed to go. And you're just going to take this, stick it right in there, line it up, zip her in very gently, and just like that, your dash is on. Alright guys, your last step, you have your reflectors here. All you're going to do is you're going to line up this clamp. You're going to close it on it. Sometimes it's easier if you take it out and close this. Just like that. Then you just tighten it up. That's exactly how it would sit. You have one on each side. I'm just going to throw the other side on and then we'll be all set to go. This is what the finished product will look like with your bumper, wheels, everything on. The only step that I haven't shown you yet, which is what I'm going to show you now, is you have to install the fuse on these when you do get them. The fuse is not installed, and that's what gives the battery power to turn on. All you're going to do is you're going to pull off the seat. There's going to be a little clicky tab underneath here, which I'm going to show you. You're going to come right underneath it, and then up here, you're just going to pull that tab, and that's going to allow the seat to come free off of the ATV. Now when you look at the ATV, I installed the fuse. It's right here. It's just going to click in. This black mount is going to stick up. It's going to line up in the holes, and you're going to push it down when it's in. That fuse is going to be located in your little glove box. Once you throw that on and you turn the key on, you can hear your ATV click and your dash comes on, and everything should function as normally. And here you have your battery charger, and these are the mirrors. I did not put these on, but all they do is they screw in right up top in this threading here, just like any other motorcycle mirror, anything like that. And then when you're done installing the fuse, you're just going to come over to your ATV, gonna line your seat up, and then you're just going to click it into place like that. And now you have a fully assembled, functioning EV ATV.